Hello, and welcome to the Global Maritime Forum Annual Summit 2025. My name is Fahnestock. I'm Director of Decarbonisation at the Global Maritime Forum. The theme of the annual summit this year is uncharted waters, and the events of last week at the IMO have helped to show why. Despite the urgency the entire maritime world is feeling around decarbonisation, the committee was unable to reach consensus or take a vote on the net zero framework that was agreed in April. The week was characterized by extraordinary political pressures. The negotiations and even procedural developments were unprecedented at such a meeting. Unfortunately, it's left the sector facing much of the same uncertainty that we've been struggling with for a few years now. There's clearly still a lot of support for the net zero framework, and much of the pressure that made the meeting so difficult came from opponents who were already against the agreement reached in April. It's important to remember that that agreement was secured by a fairly decisive vote. It's maybe even more important to remember that the framework was based on the goals and milestones set out in the IMO's revised greenhouse gas strategy that was unanimously approved in 2023. Given all that, there's good reason to feel that adoption is still the preferred path forward at the IMO. That said, it's difficult to predict how the politics of the opposition will look in a year's time, given everything we saw last week. It's also worth noting that the work on the guidelines which define how the net zero framework would be implemented is going to continue. If we're looking for opportunities, I think that's where we can start. Clarifying how the incentives we put in place in terms of emissions accounting, rewards for zero-emission fuels, and support for impacted countries could help make the framework more robust and strengthen the chances of adoption. In the meantime, there's also a lot that industry and national governments can do. International agreements tend to get easier to reach as nations and companies make progress on the underlying solutions. We've seen this at the UNFCCC and elsewhere. So even those who are not taking part in the IMO process can play a meaningful role this year by continuing to advance the solutions that make the politics possible. And of course, that's exactly what we're going to start doing this week. So we look forward to a fruitful meeting.